You're about to listen to a fabulous conversation between me and one of my school mum friends. Her name's Christie, and I love her to bits. What I do want to say before we go any further is that in this conversation, there are diagnosis terms and language that is used that might not sit comfortably with some of the viewers, but was absolutely Christie's experience and her personal position on what she was sharing. So please be aware that this is Christie's personal story and personal position. She is a mum of two who have both been diagnosed with ADHD. She is a principal in a school environment, and she shares with us some of the behind the scenes of navigating the education system, being an advocate for her children, and also some of the impact that this diagnosis within her family has had on her as a woman, as a wife, and as a mother. I hope you enjoy. Christie Wilson, welcome.
Thank you.
So nice to have you here. I know you're feeling super awkward, but we're just going to calm the fun. So we're friends, which I kind of like. And, well, I hope we are. Are we?
Well, yes, we are.
Well, I said that a bit too confidently. But
you forced yourself upon me.
yeah, I know. It's so funny. And I do have to tell this story. So we met through our boys at school. And we do have someone else in the background who shall be unnamed, who's the triad. And I remember when Jack was starting school, people said to me for years leading into that, you've just got to find one or two school mums, because I was like, oh, I don't really do, got to find one or two, and went to the initial meet and greet, and you and Beyonce were not there. So I obviously didn't know you, but I sat around and I was like, oh dear, no dear. And then thankfully you guys popped up and you popped up. And I'm pretty sure I just said, well, you're it. And now you have to be right friends. So
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I am a bit bossy. So I get that. You had no choice. But so we met about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's gone so fast.
It has. And when I was considering who to bring on to talk and to just share experience, you were always on the list for many reasons. But I think when I started writing content for this app and really wanting to, I guess, go deeper into experiences that a lot of humans have, but we often don't share the behind the scenes, I immediately thought of you, because I also had the privilege, I guess, in the early stages of coming along the journey with you, with your boys. And, for me, and I genuinely mean this, I'm excited about today because I constantly want to learn and I want to know how I can do better as a friend. And I think that people watching this hopefully also feel the same. And I think you're a wealth of information. And we'll get into your profession. You've got so much knowledge and experience. But what I'm really keen for today, is having real conversation that around a topic that I feel, and feel free to tell me to get stuffed, but I feel like in today's world, it has become quite flippant when we hear about children that are getting diagnosis or have got challenges or learning difficulties and disabilities. There's such a flippancy to a lot of the titles and a lot of the names. And I'm not about that at all. In fact, it irks me, and I'm sure it does you.
Very much.
Yeah. So today I'm here to learn from you. And I know that the listeners and the people viewing this are going to learn from you. And what we're going to talk about is not obviously is your experience, but I'm hopeful that it's going to be around any mum, any dad that has an experience with a child or children that has taken them on a bit of a detour, that was not part of the plan, that was not what they maybe dreamt of or hoped for, that you can speak hope into that, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think there's so many more of those parents out there than we realize. And I see in my counseling rooms, people come to me and they've just been given a diagnosis, or they're going and having testing and they're doing all the things. And it's overwhelming. It's got so many layers of grief to it. there's blessing in it. It's just all the things.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming. Do you want to firstly tell me or tell the listeners a little bit about what you do for a profession? Because you're a very successful.
Well, I'm a teacher, trained, and in the last few years I've been in leadership, so I'm a deputy principal of a school, and so I guess in my role I'm all the time managing children who have diagnosis, don't have diagnosis, have trauma, all of those things. So it certainly does open your eyes, and I think what has made me a better deputy or better at dealing with children, an array of children, is the fact that I have experience of my own, so I can understand them from a personal, it's not just a student, it's someone's child.
Yeah.
And then I have to talk with someone's mother who probably has those conversations more often, like I would. So, yeah, my profession is in education, but certainly along the last few years, my passion has become more about supporting children who have
diverse needs.
Yes, diverse. So whether it's ADHD, ASD, all the different as I said before, there are so many, the trauma backgrounds. A lot of the behaviours displayed are very similar and overlap anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I feel like sometimes that's where the flippancy comes, because we're very quick to go, oh, they've got this, they've got that. But actually behind all of those labels, and I'm unapologetic, I've been doing this for 14 years. People come and sit and go, oh, I've got this or I've got that. And I'm like, oh, great to know, but I'm going to park that, because I think that we're quick to label, and therefore we have this established opinion, judgment, vision that is really unhelpful, you know. So you've been teaching for a long time. You're married.
Yes.
So you got 2 boys.
Yes.
Jossie and Asher.
Yes.
And they have both been diagnosed with
ADHD.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, I guess, prior, like way prior, because how old was Jossie when he was diagnosed?
He was diagnosed in year 1. So he would have been 6, 7.
Yep.
But I think, I did know long time before that he was certainly different to other children, in just like there was a lot of sensory needs. So just right from birth, I could see there was a difference. Like at family events, no one else could hold him because that wouldn't cope with that. One of us had to sit in another room because the noise was an overwhelm for him. So I already had an inkling. But I guess prior to having children, you have this whole excitement, this like, I know exactly what it's going to be. I'm going to be this mum, and I'm going to do this, and my children are going to be this way. And so when, you know, you have a child that has some diverse needs, you go, oh, hang on, this is not what I thought.
It's not what the milestone book says.
Correct. Right? Yeah. And it's certainly not, I know in my walk with my groups of friends around me at the time, I was one of the later of the friends to have children.
Okay.
And so I hadn't seen any of those differences when, you know, I was seeing them raise their children. And so I started to think, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's it. So your immediate response was, am I doing something wrong?
Yes. Okay. I thought, well, how come my children are responding this way? Or how come my child's the one at the park, you know, running off with someone else's ball? And, you know, how have they learnt to do that? Like, am I not teaching them kindness well enough? Or those sorts of things. And then you have the people's responses to you. And often it was in the supermarkets, you know, oh, well, back in my day, if a child did that. And you just always, from very early, I was feeling all of those feelings of not good enough, not doing, you know, that. And then also a bit of anger and frustration, like, well, how would you know? Yeah, so it's a gamut of emotions that you don't necessarily expect you're going to have.
Well, it wasn't on the radar, right? And I think it's interesting because there's a lot, I mean, there's so much judgment, right? I think becoming a mum for me, I never knew judgment until you become a mum.
I agree.
People, it's wild.
Yeah.
And I just think, why are we not kinder? But everyone has an opinion about everyone. And it's like every mother does it better than everyone else. And, the generations, that have gone before us, or they did it wrong and now we've got it right. It's wild to me, right? So just talk me through, though, that space of you knew, and your husband, Paul, was he on board that there was something, or was he like, no, it's all good?
Look, I think the difference between us is I had been around children for at least, let's go back, 15 years before
as an educator.
But I hadn't seen children in their sort of toddler stage, except for my friends around me, my sisters. So I guess in answer to your question, he, like, when I would talk to him about things, he would go, well, you're really the expert in, recognizing that sort of thing. So his general, I'll be guided by you. And I used to say, I think there's something definitely there. I guess we'll find out, once, see how he goes. In kindy was the first one. Let's see how he copes. And but always that has been the default, that I'm the person in the know. So he's
which you are, but also aren't, because it's different.
Correct. It's different when they're your own, completely different.
Yeah. And how did you find, I guess, your community, or the people that you hung out with in those years, maybe before diagnosis? Because I think when diagnosis comes, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an absolute at some level. So people settle into that.
Yes.
Right? What was it like for you as a new mum, navigating some of the challenges or the unknowns, I would imagine, and probably fear?
Yes.
Right, with those around you. Were they supportive, on board, quick to tell you what to do?
Yeah. Look, a bit of everything, really. I think certainly with my close friends and family, they were very accepting, I guess, because they knew me as a person. They knew that I'm, reasonably level-headed, all of that. And so they would take my word as, noticing something, or, they would notice things and they'd be quite open to talk to me about it. So
was that helpful for you or not helpful?
A bit of both, because I think people, their default is to go to giving you advice. And I think when you have children who are diverse, thanks for the advice, but you actually don't understand, especially if you don't have children who aren't diverse. And, I've received, don't get me wrong, I've received advice from people who go, oh, that's amazing. But I've also received advice, well-meaning, but it's actually more damaging.
Yeah.
Because then you start going, gee, I'm the problem, or because I think we're great at making it our problem or our fault, that sort of guilt that comes with it. I think it really hit me when Jossie particularly started kindy, and I had made some reasonably close friends there, mum friends, and then I remember probably I've told you this story before, but about 8 months in, I was going to the park every night of kindy with this one family. And I remember the kindy director asked to have a word, and I was like, yeah, sure. And she said, look, we've had a few parents complain that Jossie is a bit rough, a bit aggressive in his play. And for starters, as an educator, that is just not the way to manage it. You don't go and tell a parent that other parents have said. It's just really, it's shaming.
Unless you want to bring them up to the front of the line and let them speak for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So that sort of took me by surprise, and I was like, oh, gee. And I said, oh, please tell me, what's he doing? I'll try and support that. Because I was never the sort that's, and you and I have had many conversations about me having to advocate, because I don't want to be that parent that justifies behaviours and all of that. So I remember sitting at the park with this mum that afternoon and saying, I'm really shocked. One of the mums at kindy has said, or a couple of them
story.
has said at kindy that Jossie's, and explained. And she just sat there and she goes, oh, it was actually me. And I remember in that moment, I just my heart, I felt it.
Can you feel your legs?
It was like the first time I'd had oh my gosh. I thought, and she meant, look, I understand now. Well, did she? I know. I'm trying to look at the best, but it's maybe she. So I remember saying straight away, I was like, why don't you just come and see me? We sit in this park every afternoon. And, why didn't you tell me? I mean, obviously it was fine for them to play after kindy every day. So it really that was the first time I felt that real hurt, I guess almost like a betrayal. I'm very, what you see is what you get. So if you have an issue, then I want you to come and tell me about it and we'll work it out together.
And absolutely what I know of you, maybe sometimes to your detriment, is that you're always, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll sort that out, right? And it's you always take their story as gospel,
yes,
and go and sort Jossie out.
Yeah.
And, and I think that brings me back to why I wanted to have this conversation, is because there's plenty of those mums or those people that let's call it well-meaning. Not sure. Okay, let's call it that. But there's better ways.
Yes,
that's kind of like it. That, and I know this sounds harsh, but for me, that's not good enough, right? And that's why these conversations are so important. We're not always going to get it right, but where's the generosity?
Yes,
right.
Yeah, is
what bothers me.
And I agree with you there. I definitely think as the years have gone on. And I'd probably say also with a lot of our chats as well, because you and I have had to have those conversations from time to time with our boys.
A love-hate relationship.
Yeah, and I've loved that you've been able to call me and we've been able to have that conversation, and I've never felt like I've had to apologise for Jossie or justify. It's been about, okay, what are we going to do? Let's work together to try and it's always been, and they're really good friends now. And I certainly have, in the early years, certainly I was more apologetic for Jossie and this and that, but I feel it probably the last 2-3 years that I've had to more advocate for you and go, you know what, I actually don't care about how this makes you feel.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm feeling all kinds of awkward, but I actually have a little boy here who is hearing all this stuff from people, and it's unfair and it's painting a picture of him. And I know as he's getting older what he thinks of himself. So I've got to make sure that I'm advocating for him. Yeah.
So obviously you were educated around ADHD, but you hadn't experienced it. What has been the biggest surprise for you as a mum of your understanding or awareness of it since your boys have been diagnosed?
Yeah. Oh, look, huge.
Because I can read textbooks.
Yeah.
But honestly...
it's completely different.
It's not relevant.
And I would have to say that for me, I thought I knew heaps about ADHD as a teacher. I'd taught many kids with ADHD before I had my own children. And I look back and go, I could have done that way better, even being educated and understanding how. And even now in my role as a deputy, how I am talking with teachers who are well-meaning, but it's you really don't understand it. And so in answer to your question, the difference is that because I've lived it and I'm living it, we tend to look at it in education and in society as we see the behaviour. So we go, oh, that is inappropriate, or oh my gosh, is he really doing that?
Yeah. How could he?
Oh my gosh.
How could they let him?
Exactly. It's all that. And then there's that judgment that people think, and even teachers, it's will you just sit down? Why are you calling out again? I've even read reports for Jossie that tends to call out answers without putting up his hand, and things like that as a negative. And while that's annoying, they're annoying behaviours, it's not an intentional thing. His brain is going, I know the answer, I'm going to blurt it out. So as a teacher, before you understand that it's not an intentional, I want to show off, or I want to be the show pony in the class, it's that impulse control is not there. And so they're going to call it out, or they're going to say the inappropriate comment before their brain has caught up. It's the action and then the thinking. And that's something I've learnt in a major way from having children of my own, that before, as a teacher, you would just see the action and you wouldn't think about the fact that the thinking came after. Yeah. You would go, well, they thought to do that and they did that. What were they doing? But I've very much learnt now that it is it's the opposite way. And when you truly understand that, because on the daily, we've got action and then thinking all day, every day, times 2. Yeah. And so for me, I've got to constantly keep myself in check. Yeah. Because
because you've got a different brain, right?
Correct.
So, and I guess it's important to say that is that your brain works differently. So as a mum, you're like,
yeah,
and they're like, but, and you're like, right? And so we've got different brain and chemistry living in under one roof.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I would imagine is really challenging.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So that's what you've learned as a teacher, which I think is awesome. As a woman, what have you learned? As a mum, as a wife, right? Because I would imagine those 3, I guess, parts of your identity have been hammered, challenged, and grown in different ways.
And pulled in all directions. I think the woman in me is really, is this what being a woman is? Because I can't work full time because, well, that's the mum in me, really.
But like yours, actually the woman, they do. But the woman in you is kind of like, well, what about me?
Yes,
right. Exactly. And what about maybe a career? And what about what I want to do?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the mum in me goes, but I can't.
Yeah.
Or I maybe need to choose a different path. Right.
Yes.
So I definitely think, yes, they all overlap. But I think the woman in you is that part of you that would like to be doing some of your own things, like with no restrictions due to.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think, there is definitely that sort of butt heads with each other, because there is the woman in me that wants to do all these things. Yes. But the mum in me now has that. And I'm sure it's different for for different families, but my boys need me as the emotional support. And that's not saying that Paul doesn't offer it. It's what they need from me. So even me, anytime I go out, there's tears. Like, why do you have to go? There's that guilt every time, even today coming.
Oh, yeah.
I had Asher, who I take to basketball training because for some reason just sitting and watching has to happen with mum and not dad.
Yeah, okay.
So tonight they had their training changed. So for him, there was all the tears for a long time managing, but why can't you come with me? So there's that mum guilt that comes with that. But then the woman in me goes, no, I also deserve, I don't have to just stay home. And then there's the wife in me that when you're pulled in so many directions from an emotional standpoint, like it's from the moment they wake up, which is early, it is on. Absolutely on. And whether it's the two of them managing from a social perspective, social emotional, how to live in the same house as each other, it's constant butting of heads because they both struggle in that area. And that's me managing that. It's also managing the emotional dysregulation that comes with, if one hurts themselves or one, they feel everything huge. So when you're pulled and you're spending so much time managing that all day, every day, then you have a husband who also has needs as far as just that emotional availability, physical availability, the connection, all of that. You just feel sometimes like I have nothing left. And then that's the needs side. And then the other side of it is also looking at I then have to manage a situation that's gone pear-shaped because of the way Paul has managed it. So then there's a little bit of this,
But
when it shouldn't be. But unfortunately, because we're both living in a highly dramatic, I guess, situation, then you have that where you've got to we really work hard on trying to be on the same page.
I was just about to say that would be the challenge. And I mean, even just the fact that, you know, he's a man and you're a woman, you're going to see and do things so
absolutely.
differently. But almost with this roadmap, it's kind of like, can we just be the same?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Which I would have well, I don't know about you, but my husband couldn't be the same as me.
No.
Right?
Same.
So you've got this added layers around parenting in general.
Yes.
Often what I find even in counselling is that men and women come from different spaces, but then you add the I guess the weight and depth of children that have got different needs, and we still see it the same, but we respond differently. I would imagine there's sometimes you're like, I'll just do it myself. It'd be easier.
Yes. And that tends
Or he might go, if you just listened to me and did it my way, it would be different, right? So there.
Absolutely. And it tends to be the former in that I just go, let me do it because, and it's, you know, don't get me wrong, this is not a criticism of Paul, but it's that understanding of, okay, when you said this,
the nuances,
that triggered, it is. It's all those little things which you just, it's hard to explain, but sometimes when we talk through a situation that's gone explosive pear-shape, it's like, let's go back 10 steps.
This
in this
wrong.
moment where you were really pushing about the light being left on, and for his brain, why does it matter? And then suddenly we're at, you know, he's in his room throwing things around because he's completely dysregulated when it was over a light being left on.
It's like that kid battle.
Exactly. It's the 90-10 rule, and that's in our family now. You know, that's what in this, when I hear things escalating, I'll go 90-10.
Oh, wow.
So it's ignore the 90 with neurodiverse children, ignore the 90% and just focus on the 10 that really matters.
Right.
That's helpful. So, it does actually really help because.
So the light switch is not the 10.
It's not the 10, it's the 90. It's all those things that you would love. That's the start of our conversation, all the things you hope and dream in your family. It's going to be this and it's going to be perfect and my children are going to be this and that. That's the 90, all that little niggly stuff. You know, in my family, saying shut up was a swear word, right? That is a tip of the iceberg compared to, because they take everything on. So it's just those little things that you've got to really go, my view of what I was going to be and what my parenting was going to be, you have to let go of the fact that I'm letting so much go. You're not. You're actually managing.
You're working with what is,
That's right.
So just following on from that, I think one of the things that I really want to get into the nitty-gritty, if you're okay with it, is there's two parts to it. One is, I guess, the grief associated with the diagnosis and just, as you said, your family dynamics and the everyday and all of that. But also I want to hear about the blessings and hear about the things that have taken you by surprise, because I'm sure there are those too.
Yes, definitely.
So one conversation I remember that I'm not going to say it surprised me, but I was like, I was probably not ready for that or expecting that, was when Asha was diagnosed, right? And, you know, you'd been through it with Jossie and then obviously Asha. But I remember you saying to me, it's hit me like a truck. I haven't been able to get out of bed. Like, it's like that was worse than Jossie's diagnosis. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think I'm really curious and interested in that.
Yeah. I think I'm also still unpacking that as to why
we don't have to.
No, it's fine. I think what it came down to is, so Jossie has been, since, as I said, birth, very overt in.
He was already on the radar.
Very much.
Something.
Very much. And I guess Asha had been born into, you know, a fair bit of chaos with Jossie as a toddler and a lot of behaviours and a lot of dysregulation. So he was always experiencing that. And so then when I started seeing just some small behaviours from Asher, I had very much explained that away to, and I remember saying to you, there's a lot of learned behaviours here. And so it's okay because they're learnt behaviours. And also for Asher not having that overt dysregulation then, he definitely managed his emotions in a very different way. So what I've learned as he's getting older is he internalises a lot, and that is more about anxiety. So when you had Jossie with his ADHD and this real sensory overload and it caused dysregulation, you could see it. Asher's is an internalisation of things and anxiety that comes out in, he'll ask some random questions or things that really bother him where you go, oh, you've been thinking about that and so that almost is more of a worry to me because you can't see it.
Yeah.
And so when we went down the path of, because I noticed at school he wasn't meeting those milestones and still talking away the behaviour as being learnt, when we finally went and had the assessment done, and I remember Paul and I sitting in there and the psychologist went through the assessments and she actually took out Jossie's and she said, I'd like you to see the assessment and where they put the crosses, like the markers on this chart, they were like you could overlap them and they were identical. And so then she said, but the difference we see here is whilst they are both classic ADHD combined, so inattentive and hyperactive, their mannerisms are different because of their dispositions. So that was the difference, that they've got very different personalities. And I think when we unpack it, Jossie is all me in that more overt, loud personality, very extroverted.
Yeah.
And Asher is all Paul, which is that quieter introvert.
Yeah.
I think when we've had that diagnosis, I was like, oh, another one. And then it just really put a magnifying glass on how much they argued and how much they felt everything so hugely and how disorganized they were and how chaotic the house was. It just suddenly became, it was like times two.
Yeah, and it felt overwhelming.
It just felt overwhelming. And I don't even know, I think now I suddenly had this view of, I don't have any normal children. And that sounds terrible. And I feel even bad saying it out loud. But it's honest. Exactly. And that I felt all the guilt of that as well. And then I had all this feeling of, I wish I just had different children mixed with, how dare you say that? Because they are your children, mixed with, do you not love your children? Mixed with, of course you love your children. Yeah, it was just so much. And I just found, I just would wake up in the night and I'd just start going, boop, 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 boop. You know, my head was just everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it just took its toll for a while. And I do remember going, I'm really grieving this information. And I was surprised, actually.
Yeah, well, I think when you shared that with me, I want to say nothing surprises me in life, but I remember thinking, oh, okay. Because I guess in my layman's terms, I would have thought you knew what it was. Yeah. But I guess it's more around, that's why I'd wanted to pick up on the grief language was, and it's hard because I have these conversations with parents all the time and it's not necessarily around ADHD, it's around so many different, I guess, scenarios in their children's lives. And I think it's okay and really normal to feel a grief of what should have been, what could have been, or what we thought was going to happen. Like I feel like that's a normal human response, but often we wrestle with the guilt around, but I shouldn't feel that, and like what's wrong with me, and what does that say about me? Well, I would say it says nothing other than you're human, and we're just trying to work through, I guess, this wild card that has come across the table. And it's not like a life sentence, but it's just we're just going this way. Yeah. But with that comes some significant challenges. Yeah, absolutely. As you shared with me, some highlights and some probably very normal everyday humdrum stuff as well. But I think it's important we talk about the grief piece of the puzzle, because I think it's very real. And if it's not, I would question that.
Yeah.
Right? I really, anyone, I often have people come and go, but it's all good. And I'm like, of course, okay, but is there something underneath that around how do we feel about that, and what's our greatest fear in all of it?
Yeah.
Because for you, if you don't, what is your greatest fear for your boys and for your family?
Yeah, I think there are two, and one of them is probably quite shallow. No, I shouldn't say that to you.
No.
Nothing is it? It's a real fear.
You can say it, but
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge it, but give me the shallow.
All right, I'll give you the shallow first. I think when it was just Jossie with a diagnosis, I could always say, see, it's not my parenting, because I have one child who behaves this way and one child who behaves that way, right? When it became both of them, it was suddenly like, now my parenting is judged because all my children are like that. And for me, I was like, and I guess being in the education system, I've heard countless teachers go, all their kids are like that. It's their parenting. And so all those voices in my head, like I remember way back before I had children, there was a family with 3 boys and all 3 boys had ADHD. Back then, I didn't realize it ran in families and all of that. I just know that all 3, I could see their marriage falling apart. They would be arguing at meetings because I had taught 2 of their 3 boys. But the staff room conversations about the family and about the parents stuck in my head.
And I think it would still exist today.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely does.
I think it would still exist today. And I think the other challenge, and you interject if you think I'm wrong, I think the other challenge is we've got way too many parents labeling their kids without having a formal diagnosis.
Yes.
Right? Or we've got way too many teachers labeling kids without a formal diagnosis.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And I think that is ludicrous and unhelpful and dangerous.
And it's actually disrespectful to the families who genuinely have children with ADHD.
Because a naughty kid's got ADHD.
Correct. And I hear it.
Yeah.
Or I hear the comment of, they must have ADHD. And the difference now is that I speak up and go, it's unfair for you to make that comment because it takes a lot of hours and hours of assessments, thousands of dollars to make that assessment.
Yeah.
You can't just go to a pediatrician and tick a few tick boxes and then go ADHD.
Yeah.
Or the other one that gets me, we've all got a bit of ADHD in us. Oh, it just grinds my gears.
Yeah.
And I think it's because for those families who are genuinely living it
daily, light switches.
Yes,
yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's unfair to just go, the kid down the road who may well be naughty, but maybe it's trauma.
Yeah.
There's always a reason. Behaviour is a communication of some need not being met, right?
Yeah.
But when that's the big one, when you're labelling it as, it must be ADHD, it just...
So for you, and by the way, that's so not shallow. Let's be clear about that. But so when you said, it's you feared that it's now a reflection of your parenting, you're so educated and you're so aware, you recognize it's a disability, right? So over here, you're like, I get all of that, but the heart in me, can't quite, collaborate.
Yeah.
Which is the grief, right?
It is. And it's confusing.
Yeah.
And so that's where you have that space where I was grappling with it, because there was that real tug of war where I do understand that it is a disability. And even today, when something is happening in my house that's so overt, my head is going, I understand in this moment I need to be this for them. But the side of me, the justice of, how dare you be so rude, it's really hard to separate. So there's that internal battle, I think.
You said there were 2 things. One, shallow.
Yes.
What's so deep? I'm scared. That was the...
Let me think about what's the deep, Car. The other fear for me, I think, is what does that look like in an adult? And so what does that look like for me navigating high school, navigating teenagers, navigating them getting into cars, navigating them being interested in alcohol? Because the ADHD brain seeks any dopamine it can find.
Yeah.
So what does that look like in a car? What does it look like at parties? And so I think, and I'm trying to change my tact, that for a very long time I've been parenting out of fear of what the 18-year-old looks like.
Rather than
where is that now? You know, he's 11 now, or he's 7 now.
Because when I met you, he was 5, right?
Yes.
So you were worried about the 11-year-old.
Absolutely.
Right? Before, yeah. And I think that's a really powerful lesson for anyone and all of us, really, is that when we project into the future, and fear does that to us around so many different areas. But I think for families that are navigating disabilities and disorders and mental health and all of the things, it's always that, but what about?
Yes.
Right? And I would imagine it keeps you up at night.
It does.
I've worked with families that are worried about what happens when I die. Who's going to then going to need to be in a home because they're severely disabled, right? And I mean, that's 40 years away, but it's very real.
Yes.
And it sits here.
Yeah.
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 So you would relate to that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's like they're always going to need me, but what if they don't want my help anymore? And I always have this pressure of I've got one chance to get it right. And so when they're really unkind, or when they say the nastiest thing, like because the impulse control is to blurt out whatever they're thinking, zero filter, immediately I'm like, how have we missed the boat on kindness here type thing? Yeah. And it's just that with everything.
Yeah.
And so that real fear of I'm trying to work on, you can only do what you can do now. And as long as they understand that you love them no matter what. And so I guess the new phase that we're coming into, particularly with Jossie being 11 and starting to really look more inward about, I hear him saying, what's wrong with me? Why am I the one in trouble? Why can't I be different? And so for me, I've really got to try and be more intentional of not just because at school, let's be honest, he's always getting, don't do this, don't do that, be quiet, sit down, stop this, stop
What's wrong with you?
He spends his whole day saying sorry, sorry, sorry. And look, the education system in general is not designed to appropriately support children with diverse needs. I'm just going to throw that out there.
And I want you to, I'm curious, what would you say to a family who are a few steps behind you, right? And don't have your profession. Like, I think that's fully been a blessing at some level. So for someone that has got no teaching background, don't know the system, what's your one bit of advice or one pearler that you'd go, this is focus on this, or search that out, or don't non-negotiable this in the school system?
In the school system, look, I would say don't ever apologise for advocating for your child.
That's great.
Don't apologise for their behaviour. Look, there's some non-negotiables. Let me just make this clear. Some non-negotiables for my children is there is zero tolerance to violence. So I will say to Jossie, particularly because he's more overt, I don't care what another child does to you. If they hit you or hurt you, you are not to retaliate. I want you to go straight to a teacher, because what happens for him is that immediate action before thinking. And so that got him into trouble earlier. He's now getting into the age where he can do that. So he'll come home and he'll go, this happened to me today, but I did this.
See?
And I really celebrate that and go, I'm so proud of you. So I guess that's the non-negotiable.
So finding those non-negotiables from a family values perspective, and going, if we have to repeat this conversation 84 times a day, because it's worked.
Absolutely has. And he knows that is a one thing that is and we call it a non-negotiable.
Yeah, okay.
This is a non-negotiable. Same with a few things getting ready. Coming home from school. They're the non-negotiables. Just for my own sanity. But that's one. And there are other things where, because they are impulse control, so one, we do not like swearing. We don't like it, and we don't swear ourselves. But when they do swear, because let me give you an example. When we go camping, they come back like potty mouths.
Because they've been around the character.
Because they've been around kids and they're hearing the F word and this and that, like on repeat. And then Jossie will come back home and go, oh, F. And I'm just like, I beg your pardon. And he now is able to, I've just heard it so much, Mum. It's just there and it comes out. So there's those things that are non-negotiables. That is one that we have a little bit of a grey area. We have to do the reset. But what I would say to parents, once you've got your non-negotiables, I think when you go into a school system, don't apologise about advocating for your child. And when the school system, because I hear it so often, talk about the behaviour, the inappropriate behaviour, I would be asking the question, is it behaviour or is it impulse control?
I love that. Say that again.
Is it behaviour or is it impulse control? Because
then you're bringing it back to, are we talking about their disability, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if you use that language as well, it sounds different to
absolutely
being naughty, right?
Yes.
Because unfortunately, I think ADHD as a disability is not seen as that.
No,
is it?
It's not.
Right?
No.
So I love that. So the question is this behaviour or is this impulsive?
Impulse control.
And I guess for any parent that's got a diverse need is to bring it always back to, is it that? Because if it's not, we can work with that. But if it's that, we can't work with that. Like we need to just spend time acknowledging that that's not shifting.
Yes, that's
we
right.
can work around it. So I really love that.
Yeah.
So that's what you would tell families heading into the school system. The one question I want to ask you though is, how do you take care of you? You've talked a lot about being pulled and almost you're pulled in different areas, but it sounds like the mum in you is 98%, right? The wife and the woman in you's got a 1%er.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
How do you take care of yourself on the worst days? How do you take care of yourself on the good days?
Yeah. Look, on the worst day, I think I'm really blessed in that I have a husband who really understands the load on us as a couple and on me as a mum based on how much the kids really are at me for everything. So I'm blessed in that regard. I will say now to Paul, and again, it has been a journey because I used to feel guilty about doing it, but now I have realised I need to. So I will say to Paul, I actually just need an afternoon on my own.
Okay.
And if it means that he then has to manage them and all the arguing that comes with that, it means I remove myself from at least even just hearing it.
Yeah, you just need silence.
Yeah. And it might mean just going and walking around Marion doing nothing. It might mean going and sitting in the car at the beach. Yeah. It might even mean just going somewhere alone in the car.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one.
Brilliant.
For me, it's not about, sometimes it is, but it's not really about going and catching up with other people. That's not my self-care.
Yeah.
Because I'm so drained that I just need to do nothing.
Yeah.
And it might even be just sitting on my phone. And, I know there's lots of conversation around phones are not healthy, whatever. It's a brain dead.
But that is healthy for you, right?
Yeah. It means I don't have to do anything else. And then the woman in me, the need is that I am connected with friends. I'm very, that extrovert. So I make sure that I catch up with people. I make sure that, I make time to go away, despite the fact that the kids cry when I leave, and I say to Paul that let them call me if they need. So I'm the one leaving at dinner at night while they're crying on the phone, Mum, I need this, I need that. But because I'm having that time to myself, I'm better able to support them in that. That's when I'm feeling okay. But when I'm at my, it's the nothing.
You need space.
Yeah.
And what would you say to people that are watching this and listening to this that have sisters, best friends, brothers, all the people who have got a child or children that have got extra needs? What would you say to them that they need, their person needs from them? Like just one thing.
I would say their person needs for you to take their children and love on them in a different space, because it's a two-pronged thing. Because I know for me personally, I don't like to ask people to have the kids because I know they're so full on. But when I have, say, my sister who go, just give me the boys for the afternoon. It might be just for an hour or 2 hours. One gives Paul and I time just to breathe on our own. So I would say that one, and just for them to experience, I've got one sister who is incredible at, when she has them, she talks strength into them, life into them. You know, I love how you're this, I love how you're that, because she's intentional.
Yeah.
Because she understands what they're experiencing based on all the conversations we've had.
And they're probably getting stripped of everything in every other area, right?
Yes.
Of being told you're this, you're that,
Yes.
you're naughty, whatever.
Yeah.
So having someone that can build hope and encouragement, I would imagine must feel like $1 million bucks.
Great. It's great. And they come back, they love spending time. You know, one that's for us, and it's a different children with ADHD have different motivators, but getting them involved in sport.
Yeah.
So having the right coach, being, you know, not having to apologize to the coach. So with me, initially, I didn't talk about they have got ADHD. I thought I'll just let them see how it goes. Now I just go in, right, he has ADHD. He does not benefit from a confrontational mode of coaching, but tell him straight, but do it with love. So, you know, and the coach he's got now has really appreciated that. And so he gets to be in a space where they tell him straight, but he's experiencing, one, it's all the energy in the world, which he's got, with it, they've both got. So I guess it's that sort of thing, making sure that people that you put in their lives are going to be people who are going to add to their life, build on,
not tell them off for doing something and stop that and just adding to the, I love that. I think it's about, and I would say, you know, minimizing the people that are negative, right?
That's right.
Like, yes, you don't need any, well, none of us need that. Let's be clear. But I would say for you especially, the less of that, the better. You only need people that will speak hope. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for being vulnerable. You know, I know that that's not easy. I was hopeful, and I'm really, really grateful, because I know that there's going to be there's going to be one at least. I don't care about, you know, I do care. But if there's only one person that's watching this going, oh my gosh, Christie is me. Yeah. Christie is me. You know what it's like to be lonely on the journey.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that this conversation will make one person feel like they've been seen, been heard, and be like, oh my gosh, she said exactly what I'd say. You know, that real experience. So thank you for your honesty. Thanks for sharing your family with us. You know,
pleasure.
I think you're amazing. I've watched you navigate, obviously only 6 years, but you're an incredible mum, and Paul's a great dad, and your boys are awesome. And I understand this was not the Monopoly game that you thought you were going to play, but what you're also going to bring to the table for others is what I'm really excited to watch, because, and I think I remember saying this to you many years ago, you're going to be to someone what you needed them to be.
Yes.
Didn't
definitely.
I?
You did.
Yeah, right. And I remember back in that moment, you're like, I can't even think straight. But I really, and even in your profession, I think that you are going, a mum's going to come and sit in, and you're going to just go, I was you.
Yeah.
And I think what a gift.
And that really is already happening. Like, you know, I'll have parents sit in and just be like, you can tell the conversation starts with, you don't understand.
And you're like,
and I always feel like, and I'll say, look, I'm just going to be really honest with you. I do understand, because I have 2 boys who have ADHD, and it's like
instant switch.
That minute where they're like, she actually does understand. Yeah. And so then we can work together, because you then go, it's someone else, which is something I didn't have in the early stages. So
it's already happening.
Oh,
that was prophetic.
Yeah, you were.
Well, thank you for coming.
Oh, you're a pleasure.